Paheli and Bucho were thrilled after winning the first prize in their school's science quiz competition. With their prize money, they decided to buy clothes for their parents. When they entered the cloth shop, they were amazed by the variety of fabrics available. The shopkeeper explained the differences between cotton, synthetic, woolen, and silk fabrics. Paheli and Bucho touched and felt the different materials, finally choosing a woolen muffler and a cotton sari. This experience sparked their curiosity about fabrics, leading them to notice the variety of materials used in everyday items like bed sheets, curtains, and bags. After their visit to the cloth shop, Paheli and Bucho began to notice the different fabrics in their surroundings. They observed that items like bed sheets, blankets, curtains, tablecloths, towels, and dusters were made from various kinds of fabrics. Even their school bags and gunny bags were made from some kind of fabric. They tried to identify these fabrics as cotton, wool, silk, or synthetic. This activity made them realize how fabrics are an essential part of daily life and encouraged them to learn more about their origins. There's a wide variety of fabrics available, each with unique properties and uses. Cotton, wool, silk, and synthetic fabrics are commonly found in shops and homes. The differences in texture, appearance, and feel make each fabric suitable for specific purposes. For example, cotton is soft and breathable, wool is warm, silk is smooth and shiny, and synthetic fabrics are durable and easy to care for. Understanding the variety in fabrics helps us appreciate their role in our lives and the choices we make when buying clothes or household items. Paheli and Bucho decided to visit a nearby tailoring shop to collect fabric cuttings left over after stitching. They touched and felt each piece, trying to label them as cotton, silk, wool, or synthetic with the tailor's help. This hands-on activity allowed them to experience the differences in texture and thickness between various fabrics. It also raised questions about what these fabrics are made of and how they are created. By closely examining the cuttings, they began to understand the complexity behind fabric production. You look closely at a piece of fabric, it appears as a continuous sheet. However, under magnification you can see that it is made up of interwoven threads or yarns. This observation reveals the intricate structure of fabrics and how they are constructed from smaller components. Understanding the structure is essential for learning about the processes involved in fabric production, such as weaving and knitting. It also helps us appreciate the craftsmanship behind each piece of cloth. Another activity, Paheli and Bucho selected a piece of cotton fabric and tried to find a loose thread or yarn at the edge. By pulling it out, they observed how the fabric is made up of yarns arranged together. This simple experiment demonstrated the relationship between fabric and yarn, showing that fabrics are constructed by weaving or knitting yarns. It also highlighted the importance of yarn quality in determining the strength and appearance of the final fabric. Pressing one end of the yarn and scratching the other end, Paheli and Bucho noticed that the yarn splits into thin strands. This observation is similar to what happens when threading a needle, where the end of the thread separates into several thin strands. These thin strands are made up of even finer strands called fibers. This activity helped them understand that yarns are not solid but are composed of multiple fibers twisted together, forming the basis of all fabrics. Fabrics are made up of yarns and yarns are further made up of fibers. This layered structure is fundamental to understanding how fabrics are produced. The fibers can be natural or synthetic, and their properties determine the characteristics of the yarn and ultimately the fabric. Recognizing this hierarchy helps us appreciate the complexity of textile manufacturing and the science behind creating different types of fabrics. Fibres used to make fabrics can be classified as natural or synthetic. Natural fibres such as cotton, jute, silk, and wool are obtained from plants and animals. Cotton and jute come from plants while wool and silk are sourced from animals. Wool is obtained from the fleece of sheep, goats, rabbits, yak, and camels. Silk is drawn from the cocoon of silkworms. Synthetic fibres like polyester, nylon, and acrylic are made from chemical substances and are not derived from plant or animal sources. This classification is important for understanding the properties and uses of different fabrics. Cotton is one of the most widely used plant fibers. It is grown in fields, especially in places with black soil and warm climates. The fruits of the cotton plant, called cotton bolls, are about the size of a lemon. When mature, the bolls burst open, revealing seeds covered with cotton fibers. Cotton wool is used for making wicks, filling mattresses, quilts, and pillows. The process of separating fibers from seeds is called ginning, which can be done by hand or machine. Cotton is essential for making comfortable and breathable fabrics. Ginning is the process of separating cotton fibers from seeds. Traditionally, this was done by hand, but now machines are commonly used. For ginning, the fibers are ready to be spun into yarn. This step is crucial in the production of cotton fabrics as it ensures the purity and quality of the fibers. Ginning also helps in preparing the fibers for further processing, such as spinning and weaving, which ultimately leads to the creation of various cotton products. Fibre is obtained from the stem of the jute plant, which is cultivated during the rainy season. In India, jute is mainly grown in West Bengal, Bihar, and Assam. The plant is harvested at the flowering stage and the stems are immersed in water for a few days. This process allows the stems to rot, making it easier to separate the fibres by hand. Jute is used for making items like gunny bags, ropes, and mats, and is valued for its strength and durability. To make fabrics, fibers must first be converted into yarns. The process of making yarn from fibers is called spinning. In spinning, fibers from a mass of cotton wool are drawn out and twisted, bringing them together to form a yarn. Simple devices like the hand spindle, tackle, and chark are used for spinning. Spinning can also be done on machines for large-scale production. This step is essential for transforming raw fibers into usable yarns for weaving and knitting. Tackle and charka are traditional hand-operated devices used for spinning yarn from fibers. Mahatma Gandhi popularized the use of charka during the independence movement, encouraging people to wear clothes made of homespun yarn known as khadi. The Khadi and Village Industries Commission was established to promote khadi. Today, spinning is also done on machines for large-scale production. but the tackle and charka remain symbols of self-reliance and traditional craftsmanship. Spinning of yarn on a large scale is done with the help of spinning machines. These machines draw out and twist fibers to form yarns efficiently and quickly. Large-scale spinning is essential for meeting the demands of textile industries and producing a wide range of fabrics. The process ensures consistency in yarn quality and allows for the production of different types of yarns suitable for various fabrics and clothing items. There are many ways to make fabrics from yarns, but the two main processes are weaving and knitting. Weaving involves arranging two sets of yarns together to make a fabric. This can be demonstrated by weaving paper strips, which shows the basic principle of interlacing yarns. Weaving is done on looms, which can be hand-operated or power-operated. The process creates strong and durable fabrics used for various clothing and household items. Understand weaving. Paheli and Bujo tried weaving paper strips. They cut two sheets of paper into strips and wove them together, creating a pattern similar to woven fabric. This activity demonstrated how two sets of yarns are interlaced to form a fabric. The principle of weaving applies to textiles where much thinner yarns are used. Weaving is a fundamental process in fabric production, resulting in strong and versatile material. Weaving of fabric is done on looms, which can be hand-operated handloom or power-operated powerloom. Handlooms are traditional devices used for weaving by hand, while powerlooms use machines for faster and more efficient production. Both methods are important in the textile industry, with handlooms often producing unique and artisanal fabrics and powerlooms catering to large-scale manufacturing needs. Knitting is another method of making fabric from yarn. In knitting, a single yarn is used to make a piece of fabric. Sweaters, socks, and many other clothing items are made of knitted fabrics. Knitting can be done by hand or on machines. When a yarn is pulled from a knitted fabric, it unravels continuously, showing the interconnected loops. Knitted fabrics are flexible and comfortable, making them ideal for various garments. Ali wondered about fabrics made from the fibers on the outer covering of coconuts. These fibers, known as coir, are used for making items like ropes, mats, and brushes. Coir is a natural fiber valued for its strength and water resistance. It is commonly used in household and industrial products, demonstrating the diversity of plant fibers used in fabric and material production. Ancient times, people used materials like tree bark, big leaves, animal skins, and furs to cover themselves. As agricultural communities developed, people learned to weave twigs and grass into mats and baskets. Vines, animal fleece, or hair were twisted into long strands and woven into fabrics. Early Indians wore fabrics made from cotton grown near the river Gunga. Flax was also cultivated near the river Nile in Egypt for making fabrics. The invention of the sewing needle allowed people to stitch fabrics, leading to the creation of stitched clothes. Before stitching was known, people simply draped fabrics around their bodies. Even today, traditional garments like sari, dhoti, lungi, and turban are used as unstitched pieces of fabric. These garments reflect cultural diversity and the historical evolution of clothing. The variety in draping styles and fabrics showcases the rich heritage of textile traditions in different regions. Just as there is a large variety in food across the country, there is also a wide variety in fabrics and clothing items. Different regions use different materials and styles, reflecting local resources and cultural preferences. Weaving and knitting are used to make various kinds of fabric, which are then used for a range of clothing items. This diversity enriches our lives and connects us to our heritage. Fabrics are made from yarns, which in turn are made from fibers. Fibers can be natural or synthetic, with cotton, wool, silk, and jute as examples of natural fibers, and nylon and polyester as synthetic fibers. Plant fibers like cotton and jute are obtained from plants, while animal fibers like wool and silk come from animals. The process of making yarn from fibers is called spinning, and fabric from yarns is made by weaving and knitting. Understanding these processes helps us appreciate the journey from fiber to fabric. Fibers can be classified as natural or synthetic. Natural fibers include wool, cotton, silk, and jute, while synthetic fibers include nylon and polyester. This classification is based on the source of the fibers, whether they are obtained from plants and animals or made from chemical substances. Understanding the classification helps in choosing the right fabric for different purposes and appreciating the science behind textile production. Let's clarify some facts about fibres and fabrics. Yarn is made from fibres, and spinning is the process of making yarn, not fibres. Jute is not the outer covering of coconut, it is obtained from the stem of the jute plant. The process of removing seeds from cotton is called ginning. Weaving of yarn makes a piece of fabric. Silk fibre is obtained from the cocoon of silkworms, not from the stem of a plant. Polyester is a synthetic fibre, not a natural one. Plant fibers are obtained from sources like cotton and jute, while animal fibers include wool and silk. Cotton is obtained from the cotton plant's bolls and jute from the stem of the jute plant. Wool comes from the fleece of animals like sheep and goats, and silk from the cocoon of silkworms. These fibers are processed and spun into yarns, which are then woven or knitted into fabrics for various uses. The process of making yarn from fiber is called spinning. In spinning, fibers are drawn out and twisted to form yarns. This process can be done by hand using devices like tackle and charka, or by machines for large-scale production. Spinning is a crucial step in textile manufacturing, transforming raw fibers into usable yarns for weaving and knitting. Fabric from yarns is made by weaving and knitting. Weaving involves interlacing two sets of yarns, while knitting uses a single yarn to create loops. Both processes are used to make different kinds of fabric, each with unique properties and uses. Understanding weaving and knitting helps us appreciate the variety and functionality of fabrics in our daily lives. Deepen their understanding, Paheli and Bucho explored activities like visiting handloom or powerloom units, identifying yarns, and learning about fiber crops in their region. They discovered India's role as a major producer and exporter of cotton fabrics. They also learned about famous weavers like Fibre and conducted experiments to identify yarns by burning them. These activities enriched their knowledge about fibers, yarns, and fabrics, connecting science with everyday life and culture.